Hello Aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name's Nicole and today I'm going to show you guys how to create these beautiful, vibrant, loud and happy forest scenes using liquid watercolors. Starting off with a piece of 140-pound cold press paper. I'm using both sides of the paper by wetting both sides. It's going to stay nice and flat on my piece of plastic here, and it's going to allow me to add a lot of color at my leisure, if you will, because the paper will stay wet longer by wetting both sides. And I do want the colors to spread and move about in wonderful, magical ways. So as you can see, once everything is really nice and wet, I'm dipping my paintbrush, a very wet paintbrush, into the colors I plan on using, just to kind of get my light rays and figure out where I want the light source to come from. Now I'm using a little tiny pipette, and notice there's not that much paint in there. So I'm trying to squeeze it on very sparingly. If I want these colors to move, I am going to spray it with water. It's a little messy, but it's so much fun. And then you're going to lean your paper in the direction that you want the light rays to go. So I'm just going to keep repeating this process with my blues for now. And then we'll be switching over to the purples shortly. But dab, 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 a little spritz, tilts my paper. You want to make sure that you get the bead of water off of the edges of the paper. If there's too much moisture around the edges, that it'll cause a bloom later on. So I'm just keep adding my colors. Now I'm switching over to the purple. I do want to leave some white spaces because where the white is, it's really going to grab your attention, and it's going to make the illusion that there's a lot of bright light coming through the forest canopy. All right, so I'm going to spray my paper. Kind of like how the purple spread on the top, so I'm just going to leave that be. Re-wetting the bottom part of the forest floor. And now switching over to my brush, a very wet brush that I'm dipping into the blue. So by mixing my purple and my blue together with water, notice that it's a lot less bright. So it's a very versatile medium. I will also be using my tube watercolors in the second layer. So this is basically a 2-layer painting, folks, and it's really quick and fun. So I'm just using my brush strokes in the direction of the light source. Now I wanted to add some extra textures to look like foliage on the sides here, and I'm using the liquid watercolor paints, and I'm just dabbing it in with my paintbrush. I'm not following any sort of reference photo. I just kind of doing this out of my head. If you don't like the portrait mode, you could definitely try doing this sort of thing in the landscape mode as well. I'm adding some blues, and notice I'm just dabbing all that in there. This stippling is addictive. Once you start putting the dots, it's hard to stop. So much fun. We're going to add a little salt to the bottom here, and that's going to produce some cool textures. Now you're going to let that whole thing dry. Once it's dry and you can see the fun foreground that it made, we're going to do our second layer that's going to add the trees and the leaves to the foreground. So this is where I am just using my tube watercolors, just a purple that I have in my palette, in order to make the forest floor here. Now, the forest floor is going to be like part of the foreground, so I do want to darken that up, but I don't want it to be too dark. I want you to still be able to see the textures that we work so hard at getting in the first layer. A little bit of grasses will add some nice effects. I'm using a script liner brush for that. Now with my calligraphy brush and a very watery mixture, I'm starting to put in the trees. I am trying to make the trees in different directions and leaning and not just straight up and down. Some trees are getting lost in the light, and so I'm trying to represent that as well. Now with my script liner brush, I'm going to add some branches and foliage on these leaves using the same watery mixture. I don't want to use the liquid watercolor for this part because it would compete too much with the beautiful, vibrant colors that we made for the light rays. I want that like washed out look, like the forest is on fire with all this drenched light. Another layer of the foreground. Darkening that up so that we have more depth in our painting. And with my script liner brush, pulling up some grasses. Now comes the fun part. I'm using a angular brush, also known as a petal brush, also known as a triangular brush, and I'm making some leaves. These make perfect leaves and petals, and they're a lot of fun. And I wanted the illusion of uh, looking at the scene through a whole bunch of leaves, and so I'm building up all these leaves around the scene, around the edges of my painting, just for a very whimsical, fun little forest painting. Kind of have them cascading down into the scene. This was so fun to paint. I hope you guys give it a try and let me know what you think. But this was a lot of no stress because you're just putting blobs of paint with a little pipette and watching the way your watercolors spread and kind of making your scene around what happens on the paper. It's so much fun. So you could also tilt your board. I felt like, okay, I'm going to do these leaves upside down, see if that's a little bit more comfortable. Just trying to get in these cascading leaves. I'm mixing the purple and the blue together, so I have some variances here in the color. But I'm keeping it full strength and dark because I want these to kind of frame our scene. All right, my big head keeps getting in the way. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to turn it around the right way and see where I might need to add a few more filler leaves. Pretty happy with the way that's looking. The space on the top here felt like I needed a couple there. And once you're happy with that, you can go ahead, connect all your leaves to a couple of branches here. I'm using a script liner brush for this. Also wanted the branches to trickle down a little bit here and there in the scene. I thought that would be cute. Once you're happy with that, you could sign your painting. You guys just created a masterpiece. Congratulations. So I'm just taking the tape off, and that is that. Now I've tried this a few times in some different colors, and it really is a lot of fun. I hope you guys give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.